Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 60 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of PS VR2. I'm your host, Laurie, and we are part of the Cross Players. So, if you like what you hear, check out links to all of our stuff in the description for this episode. Now, it is an honour to be joined by two of the wildest influencers in the metaverse. It's Ben and Reese.
Let's get wild.
Born to be wild.
Well, they didn't say that. Let's carry on.
Wild stallions.
Come on, Ben. Bit more.
We are wild.
Wild at heart.
There we go. That's a
Wild at heart.
wild animal.
Okay, now we're sure about
I don't know if the
That was
mic
a bit
picked it
nice,
up.
Ben.
I just did a monkey impression.
Yeah,
you
it
probably-
picked up. I think we was just trying to ignore it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you've got some sort of fancy Steam Deck filter that filters out any kind of weird
Maybe.
shit. Anyway. You both well?
Doing all good here.
Really good.
Oh, good.
How about you,
All
Laurie?
I've got a bit of a sore throat, so apologies if I sound a bit croaky. Yeah, kids have been ill all week. And...
Ribbit.
Yeah. Oh, that was good there. Ribbit. There you go. Can't be racist.
More animal noises to come. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we
Close to
found
the
our
mic, yeah.
thumbnail for this episode. Good. Well, we have a real mixture of things to talk about tonight.
Oh.
Because we haven't. Well, I've been playing it anyway, so I've got some impressions on that to share later on. But first, the news. And the news is a lot of the news is related to what we've been playing as well. So we'll just kind of mix all that in as we go. It's going to be a bit of kind of free and easy one tonight, gents. Is that all right? We'll just kind of see how it goes. Yeah, we're just going to mix it up. So this is the mixing episode.
I like it.
Jazzcasting. That's it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's start with the PlayStation Blogs post today of the top downloads for March. I'm going to scroll past PS5 and PS4. We don't care about that around here. Go straight to PSVR2 games. And the number one game, I would say, could you guess what it was? But I've already shared the list with you both, so you know full well that the number one game in both the US and the EU was Cube VR. Did a round of applause for Cube VR. So congratulations to those guys. Reese, you're a fan of Cube VR, weren't you?
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I've played a fair bit.
Clearly, a lot of people are.
I'm going to be honest, yeah, surprised, but happily surprised for it. I know there was a lot of hype for the game, so yeah, I bet he's absolutely jumping.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of adverts for the game.
Yeah, I'm still seeing adverts every week, always on Twitter.
Every one of Miles Starr's tweets, every single one of them, first reply will be a bloody advert for Cube VR.
Yeah. So
I was checking if he was
I
actually
do wonder
typing
how much
himself.
of it is that.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
working for him, so good on them, you know.
No,
Yeah.
See all these games. There was a game, I forget what it was, some indie game Devolver launched this week that no one was talking about, no one bought it, and they were like, oh, it got decent reviews, but I was like, I've never heard of this game. And then I put the tweet out saying that, and then loads of people replied saying, yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen it as well.
I'm trying to think if I've heard of it.
No, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. But that's not the point. The point is that, like, you know, just look what QVR are doing. Like,
The point is advertisement.
yeah, it's the most downloaded VR2 game. Beating the likes of Beat Saber in second, both in the US and the EU, and Pavlov in the US and the EU. And then the rest of the EU list, we've got in fourth place Arizona Sunshine 2, Among Us, Horizon, Creed, Job Simulator, Kayak, Mirage, and Crossfire Sierra Squad. So the usual kind of list of games there, just Cube VR, just getting straight in there at number one. So good on them for getting some good traction, it would seem.
You remember how much Cube costs? I haven't looked it up, but I wonder.
I cannot remember.
Oh, it's not a full price one, is it? It's
I think it's about
20-ish.
25
Yeah, I'm going to say somewhere in the
£20
£20 range.
There's no way to know for sure.
Whilst Reese looks that up, we can just shout out to the fact that Helldivers 2 was, of course, the number one downloaded game in the US and the EU. Quite rightly so. It's bloody great. Penn's not feeling that. I love you. You don't like democracy. You're fascist.
I love democracy as much as the next man.
Hate spreading democracy. So yeah, anyway, good news for Cube VR. Cube VR fans. Hopefully it keeps getting more
you can
downloads
get
and
Cube
keep
VR
adding to it. Oh, here we go.
$28.99.
Oh, yeah, we weren't far off there. 20s. Cool.
$28.99.
Okay.
Pounds. So, yeah.
Okay. Any more thoughts on that list before I move on? I don't want to cut you off. Give you both a chance to regale us with your thoughts on that list. No pressure. No.
Bit upset to see Legendary Tales not in it anymore.
Oh yeah, it's chopped out, isn't it?
Yeah, because it was it was even the second or it was the top at one point. So I'm yeah, I don't know. Bit upset to see that just completely drop
you
out.
have these games like VR still there. That's just like people are buying.
Exactly.
And I can't imagine they're selling mini games on PS VR2 each month, like in sort of huge, massive numbers. So when there's a decent new release, it gets in there number one, and then probably find QVR might be interesting to see if any of them can have a staying power.
Yeah,
like Job Simulator managed to have. Christ, how's that game still is there? Good on them.
It still shows that was one of the top ones on the Quest store as well.
Yeah, I mean it's cracking,
crazy
game, but it's not that good. Cheap, I suppose. Cool. Anyway, next up, one that is more of a Ben game. Toy Trains is getting an update on the 18th of April, which is a couple of days after this podcast goes out. It's called the Infinite Loop Update, which is a very grand name. Basically just means they have a sandbox mode where you can do what you like, which is good.
Lovely.
I know you and Alex are going to be very excited about this. And also another 12 challenging levels that have been added, so some extra hard content being added there for anyone that felt that they breezed through the main game a bit too easily. Good news, because we've got 12 new games. And do you know how much this update's going to cost, Ben?
Is it free?
It's absolutely free. It's going to cost you...
Oh my God.
Diddly squat.
That is my favourite price.
The favourite price for an update. Yeah, and good on them. And that's kind of cool because it was already a good game, and now if it's got some sandbox mode and some extra challenging mode levels on it as well, because you planned it, right? It was quite a decent game. Do you felt like you didn't feel like you were shortchanged on the amount of content that was there already?
I think it was a perfect amount of content, but it is nice that if you feel like going back into it, there is that little something extra. And Sandbox, I think, is perfect in particular because it is just a nice space to be in, and how tactile it is and the mechanics of it work really well. So it's quite a nice. I can imagine it just fancying having a go and just firing it up and mucking about for a bit. It's good. Good on them.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was perfect length for a VR game. I think it took me about 2 hours to complete it and get the platinum. But I wanted to do the sandbox immediately after finishing. I just wanted to create my own little stuff. So that's what I'm excited to play. Not so much the new challenging levels, but sandbox. I'm going to sit in that for a bit.
I can imagine it'd be a great one for the likes of people like my son, who I could just be like, there you go, play VR train sets. I'm sure it'd be well for just tinkering and playing around with that and seeing what we can come up with and stuff without any kind of challenge or pushback. It's just kind of a nice chill game.
The fact you can change the terrain as well and raise it all to have bridges and all that kind of stuff. Looks cool.
And you haven't got to tidy up afterwards. That's the best bit. See, real toy trains. Messy, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but you don't get to paint the little toy models on this one, do you?
No.
You've got to balance
Maybe
it out.
a future update.
Maybe.
The update also promises some ... some other broadly requested features. So who knows what that is? Probably some quality of life improvements as well. So yeah, good for them. And yeah, if anyone hasn't played Toy Trains, we very much recommend it around here, around these parts. Highly recommend.
Definitely.
There you go.
Highly.
And good to know that Reese does as well, because I don't think you were on when we were talking about it before. So.
No, I wasn't on there then.
No.
But no. Good game.
Cool.
Nice, chill, peaceful.
Let's continue the run of Ben-related news. No. News for games that Ben likes.
Leaving.
No, you're not. Sorry. You can't. Beat Saber, another game that Ben is very pleased to own. Got a big update this week, which seems to have gone down quite well. There's been a lot of people getting quite excited about this one. Hip Hop Mixtape, 9 iconic tracks from 50 years of hip hop. Ben, you've been playing it. Tell us more about the Hip Hop Mixtape.
Yeah, it's quite impressive, the roster of tracks that they've got on there. I was quite surprised. I was expecting, because I think they led with an Eminem song, Godzilla, which was, it's a good song, but one of his more recent songs that, if you like current Eminem, you'll like that. But there's also quite a good mix of stuff from as far back as Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 for The Message, which is like a stone cold classic. And then there's some more more kind of 90s stuff, some Tupac, some Notorious B.I.G. Probably, I mean, it's got like Hypnotize, which I'm sure everyone's heard of, but it's a shame that they didn't go a bit like deeper and do the less like commercial stuff. But like they've got Hey Ya by Outkast, which is obviously their most well-known song. Again, it would have been great to have like something that's a bit more hip-hoppy, because that's not even really a hip-hop song. But yeah, great. Really, there's like Nicki Minaj on there. Just as well, it's not the video running in the background, because that'd be very off-putting whilst trying to get a good score. Yeah, but yeah, really good package and fun. And played it earlier with my kids as well, and they enjoyed it. I should actually say on that point, it's a slight an option comes up when you first boot up Beat Saber that says, do you want us to exclude explicit songs? And obviously I was playing with the kids, so I ticked it. I said yes.
So is that when you first got the game you're talking about, you had that ticked?
Well, it did it today when I first booted it up, so I guess that's because of this new pack. And I ticked it, and then I was like, oh, where's this pack? And I couldn't work out where it had gone, and I couldn't see it in the shop.
So it instantly hides the thing you've just bought.
So it hid all 9 of those tracks and didn't show it anywhere on like the list of different packs that you can get either. So once I got past that initial frustration, I just kind of said to my kids, now you're going to hear some stuff here. Don't repeat it, okay?
Don't tell your mother.
Just don't tell mummy. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. But no, really, really good, and obviously a good mix of kind of like very slow, chilled out hip hop, and then some faster ones. Like, you know, Godzilla by Eminem has got this bit where he kind of just goes crazy towards the end of it and raps extremely fast, and then the song kind of ramps up then, and you're trying to hit stuff at a ridiculous speed.
I've seen the clips.
Can you record yourself? You've got the camera, haven't you? You can record yourself playing.
I have, yes.
Yeah. Do you fancy doing that?
So technically, I could record myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when is that video going out?
It's the same then in this situation. With the explicit track thing that you mentioned, I thought, because I didn't read up on that, I thought when you tick it, it just mutes or, you know, cancels out the swear words in the songs. I didn't know it actually hides the whole tracks. So I thought with them doing that, I thought they was going to basically have like 2 versions of the tracks. Whenever you tick it, it will switch out. So I was kind of hoping you'd see the older tracks. Yeah, I was kind of hoping you'd see them re-edit and have the older tracks that, you know, like the Mike Shinoda pack. There's a lot of swearing in that one, and it's all you know, just blanked out. So I was hoping by them doing this, I thought they was going to go back and redo some of the older tracks, and then you can tick it in the settings. But now you've mentioned that, clearly that's just completely wiped my thought of how they were doing it, and instead it's just, oh, we'll hide this pack from you because it's explicit, which
it's a bit of a shame, actually, the way that they've done it, because I'm pretty sure the message doesn't have any swearing on it. It might have like one swear word, but that's been taken out completely.
There is other rhythm games that have done DLC with swearing in it and they don't censor it, like Smash Drums. They've done that, and I appreciate it. I see why some games do it, though. I'm not going to argue the fact of it. There's a valid reason for it, but I think having the option to switch between would be a really good thing to think through, possibly, if they can.
Also, like, technically you need to be 12 to be playing it, right? So
10 for Quest,
12-year-old. Yeah, okay, but
you're suggesting 12-year-olds know all the swear words?
I'm suggesting kids much younger than 12 probably know the swear 100%. Words. But,
definitely.
I wonder if, so on the little sort of trailer for the pack, it's got 18 plus certificate on it. So I guess they're just... Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. It's really good fun. It's nice to have a genre. Like, I like all the more kind of electronic-y stuff that they have on there anyway. But having a genre that I love is just brilliant. It just makes it all the more enjoyable.
See, I feel like you'd enjoy the Mike Shinoda pack as well, because that's quite rap orientated, especially if you like his type of rap style as well.
Yeah, let's discuss that offline.
Oh, this is where he says he doesn't like him, and then next week I leave the podcast.
You don't know Ben that well, clearly. For the record, I don't know what the song Hypnotize, so sorry.
Not me either. So I'm glad it wasn't just
You
me.
would if you heard it. I'm not going to do it now. This is
Can
where we
you
need
please?
Alex.
Sing the song.
No.
No, bring Alex back.
In memory of
Oh,
Alex,
yeah,
can
Alex
you
rap.
sing?
You'll
Right.
know it when you hear it. Yeah.
Just for the record, Alex is not dead.
Okay.
He is still alive and well.
He's not dead.
He's
Right,
dead
let's
to me.
move. Oh, yeah. All right. Say that about all your exes, don't you?
We'll drag him back one day, I'm sure.
Oh, dear. He's just joined the elite club of Ben's exes that just all have a WhatsApp group. Where they all... moving on. So let's go on to a Reese game now. Breaches has got a new competitive mode. I didn't realise it didn't already have a competitive mode already. So Reese, tell us what this is all about.
Joe, the way you said that's exactly what everybody was commenting. Go, isn't the game already competitive? So it's more of a ranked mode in a sense. So you do 5 matches and it puts you in a ranked stage, and you keep doing matches until you basically get a higher rank in that season. I think is the way they're doing it. I tried to play a match last night.
So is it like Splatoon then, basically?
Oh, I've never played Splatoon, so I have no idea. I'd say probably somewhere between the way Call of Duty do their Call of Duty League ranked matches, where you can, put you in a bracket and then you face off against people in that bracket until you get better, and then you go further up and basically become one of the better players and face people that are going to absolutely destroy you. So, yeah, I went to try it. It didn't let me go in a match. I was waiting for 4 minutes. It kept saying searching region, and it didn't put me in. I have noticed today when I turn my PlayStation on, there's another updates that might have been fixed. But the one thing that they've added that really got me a bit more excited was the fact they've added a season kind of, I'd say a bit of a battle pass type of thing. Whereas if you get higher, if you do a certain amount of competitive matches and competitive ranked matches, and you get higher up, you unlock different camos for guns and things like that. And for me, that was something I always thought was lacking, was this reason to keep playing and earning stuff other than just leveling up. So I'm happy to see that. But no, I'll definitely be jumping into it this weekend to try out this competitive mode, because that does interest me a little bit, especially with VR shooters.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So you're joining me, yeah, Laura?
Nothing what you said has had any kind of impact on my.
I saw Ben just kind of close his eyes for a second and nearly just
It's like everything you were saying was just bouncing off my head.
Yeah, you just looked impenetrable. You wasn't taking any of it in. Yeah.
Shooty, as Alex would say. If Alex was here now, shooty, shite.
Yep, exactly.
Isn't it, don't you think, though, just seriously, Laurie, don't you think Helldivers could be a gateway drug for you to get into something like Preachers? Don't you?
No.
Doesn't it give you that taste?
The wording there. You sure? I think it could work. What about if it was a VR shooter where it's co-op, but you're shooting at like termids, or not exactly termids, but things looking like termids in VR? Would you be
this is a whole
interested in it?
separate podcast. I mean, Helldivers is just kind of
Yeah, we'll
fun
create
game.
the Helldivers
This is
podcast
the
one
key
day, and we
part.
can, but if there was a VR game where you could shoot at termids in VR, would you play it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay,
Guess
cool.
so.
There is one on Quest, so you can get that.
There wasn't there one on PSVR Farpoint, wasn't there? That sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yes, Farpoint
Yeah,
was amazing.
see,
They
there you go.
need to make a sequel of that. That is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, we can have another episode of PSVR exclusive. We still want to play.
definitely.
That'll be on the list. Okay, well, good news for everyone that likes Breaches, and maybe reach out to people. People quite like Breaches. Whenever you mention it on the Discord, you always get a few takers, don't you? So
I get some, and then I get people just laughing at the comment because Alex usually is the one that just laughs at it straight away to avoid everyone from reading it.
okay. Well, let's move on to another Reese type game, and this is a reveal that was I'd never heard of this, so maybe I think it was just a brand new surprise reveal, and a game that's coming out this month. So a real sort of surprise reveal and release straight away. This is called Apollo 13: The Lost Tapes VR, which is described as a time travel horror shooter. Which it looks right up your street, Reese. It looks like a kind of Red Matter.
Definitely.
But with horror things. The story seems completely batshit crazy, and that it's the idea that the Apollo 13 mission, which of course we all know, we've seen the film, we know what happens to Apollo 13. It's the one that didn't make it to the moon. But apparently the real story is that it did make it to the moon.
Spoilers.
And there it found it's history. It's real life, mate. It
Sure.
did make it to the moon, and there it found a portal to 200 years in the future and on some secret mission to go to Mars in 2170. And also there's like some sort of hellmouth that's been opened up that's allowing demons onto Mars. I don't understand. Like, that's quite elite. Let's just make that game. Why the Apollo 13 time travel malarkey? I don't know.
Isn't that the story to Doom in a sense?
Yeah, maybe, kind of.
It's on a moon base, and there's a portal that's open to hell.
It's the link in between Apollo 13, as if like this was the cover-up, and that really what happened was that it slipped through a time portal, and also demons started to invade the Earth, and the Apollo 13 crew presumably sorted that out, and then came back in time and then landed. I don't know.
Either way, I'm glad you mentioned this.
It doesn't matter.
Because I don't think I would have seen it, because it completely you just shared it in the chat, and I was like, this is one of your games. I just checked it out, and I was like, it looks a bit too exploration. And then I started seeing the shooting, then I saw the demons. I was like, oh yeah, I want to play this.
Yeah, and it looks like graphically, it looks pretty impressive.
Yeah, it does look pretty decent.
So yeah, very
Looking
much
forward to that.
Not a me game, but that's why we got you here, Reece, to play these sorts of things. So
Horror and shooters. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You can talk about them while I just check that Nicki Minaj video just to make sure that it was the right song I was thinking of. Yeah, great video.
Good video.
Go check that out.
It's where Ben mutes for like 3 minutes and just starts.
Just goes off camera.
Because we have obviously OVRDark, which has just come out, which you can talk about in a minute, Reece. We've got this game, Madison VR, which you just mentioned that one as well. That's been kind of put forward for certification. They've not hit the release date. I think they last communicated, and they basically said that they're not going to communicate any more release dates because it's getting quite comical and we keep laughing at them for it. So apologies there in all the team that listens to it. We are really looking forward to Madison, and take all the time you need for it, and it's good that it seems to be put forward for certification by Sony, and then once that's all been signed off, they'll then communicate a release date, and I suspect it'll be very quick to kind of reveal and then release whenever the release date comes. So it's good that they've stopped messing around putting dates out, because it was getting a bit silly. So Madison VR is coming very soon, I'm sure. So it'd be good range of horror stuff there for people to play. Another game that's coming out very soon, I think it's June, which we knew already. It's Soul Covenant. Is that right? The point is they've got a new reveal trailer, or a launch trailer, I should say. It was revealed this week. Have either of you seen it? Ben, you obviously haven't seen it. Reece, have you seen it?
I see a little bit of it. Again, as I said before, I feel like every trailer I've seen of this game, it's a similar trailer, but just with different wording. But yeah, I'm still equally as excited each time.
I'm getting my games confused. It's April the 18th. It's next week this one comes out. So this is very soon. This Soul Covenant's coming out. Yeah, it looks like... like if you've seen or played the demo for Stellar Blade, this kind of for me was just looked like a very similar sort of thing. It's like very, very Japanese, very near-esque, kind of completely batshit crazy, but compelling in its own way of that genre.
Looks slick. If it looks as good as the trailer looks, then
I mean, PlayStation themselves are pushing it quite hard. It's been on I think they've had quite a lot of blogs and stuff, and the PlayStation UK Twitter feed's been promoting the trailer and stuff. So yeah, and they've been posting the video launch trailer on their YouTube channel. So I think it must have some sense that it's a decent game that it's worth.
It's got a really good composer on it as well, and I feel stupid saying this because I don't remember what stuff he's worked on, but I know he's worked on some really big games because I was looking at his stuff the other day, and I was actually quite shocked that they've got such a big composer working on their soundtrack as well. So I'll try and find out some of the games that he's worked on and share that around somewhere. But no, it's that alone is when we go, oh, I want to hear what the actual music's going to sound like as well.
Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to cover this and maybe talk about this one next week.
It's Mitsuda has composed it. So he's done some Chrono Trigger,
that was
Xenoblade Chronicles.
There we go.
That in itself.
Very impressive. I just remember seeing some big names. I was like, whoa, this is... Yeah. I mean, I know you've seen some big composers on VR games before. Like Firewall had one of the composers who did the John Wick films, I believe it was. So, I mean, I know we've seen it before, but just that alone, this person has made some huge stuff in gaming. And it just, that alone just got me more excited, I think.
Reece, do you know if this one's coming to Quest?
Yes, I think it's coming to all platforms.
Okay. So obviously, Sony's promotions of it just mentions PSVR2. But I think for people that are looking for a kind of decent meaty game, it's a big kind of story-driven action RPG. It looks quite high budget and like it's going to be AA, let's say. So if people have been waiting for another big release to play, hopefully it lands well and finds an audience. Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, another game that we all love and is getting another update teased as another one of these games that keeps constantly getting supported, which is brilliant, is Synth Riders. Put out a tweet today just teasing with a general kind of Saved by the Bell-esque image, teasing a 90s theme, presumably, with a little mixtape someone's made. So, anyone that's into the 90s music, look forward to that one. I think they're revealing that next week as well. So, look forward to that. Ben, you like a bit of 90s pop, hip hop? Well, it could be anything, couldn't it? 90s, but...
Yeah, bring it on. Be great if some of it is reasonably well known. That would be good.
Like the intro to Fresh Prince.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Or Saved by the Bell, as Alex said earlier.
Saved by the Bell.
Any kind of Will Smith kind of dodgy rap or...
Dodgy rap.
Do the trick.
So you find out Will Smith's a huge fan of this podcast and just comments, how dare you.
Well, if he wants to come on and we can interview him about stuff, he's very welcome to. He's very welcome. I bet we'll get Alex back then, won't we? Find his way. I've suddenly got some time now, guys. To interview Will Smith with you. No, Will Smith, you're welcome anytime you like. But the bit of Wickedy Wild Wild West and all that kind of stuff that can.
Yeah, I think there could be some really nice tracks on it.
Yeah, that was that whole kind of era of like Men in Black and Wild Wild West and stuff. Just like really cheesy, crazy movie
I just
time
remember all the
soundtrack
songs from my childhood and just...
Ben's like, that's the shit. That's the good shit. That was. That's
what Ben wanted.
That was real hip hop
track. It was all the stuff that was on the Beat Saber track. He wanted
very
Men in
disappointed.
Black,
There was no Will Smith.
Just tweets that. Wasn't enough Will Smith. 5 out of 10.
Well, we'll see.
Where's Big Willie style?
We'll see if Synth Riders can redeem themselves. Okay, final bit of news is the thing that you spotted, Reese. Tweet by the Flat to VR people. Now, Reese, probably a lot of people may not be aware of what Flat to VR is. Ben, for instance. So, if you'd like to explain, explain what it's all about, Reese.
Flat to VR are basically a bunch of modders that port flat games into VR with a 6-DoF controllers scheme, and they announced they would be kind of working closely with other places and porting games to other platforms as well. And with that, I spotted a tweet today that they have now got a PSVR2 dev kit and also some source code to some really cool games. Now, I don't know what that means. Obviously, I know what a dev kit means, but I don't know what I don't know what source codes they've got. I don't know whether any development companies went here. We give you full support to make turn our game into a VR game. And I don't know, it just kind of opens up that excitement to see what's going to come in the future, because I know Ben was looking at Returnal the other week and getting really excited for that. And I mean, the possibility of having Flat to VR.
So are they the guys that did the Returnal?
I don't know if Returnal was done through the Unreal Injector mod, which is kind of like a mod where you force yourself into the actual place and you kind of set it all up yourself. So I don't know. I think Flat to VR actually make like proper ports themselves. They've done one for Ghost Runner. So them type of games, and they all look really good. So I don't know. I think it's just exciting me even more to what's potentially to come. Because I mean, like we've always said, if PlayStation don't have the time to commit to making these VR games, there's literally a team there of very skilled modders that could turn their biggest titles into VR titles, and it wouldn't just be a 2-hour, 3-hour experience. It would be the full experience because they turn the whole game into VR.
This guy sounds like, they went out and bought Bluepoint. Like, if these guys can do what they say, why the heck don't they just go out and just throw as many millions of billions as they need to? They don't hire them, just buy them and say,
just buy them.
Well, they're putting all their games on PC, so you can say, right, you can make our games run in VR in PC and on PSVR2. We're going to put PSVR2 on PC soon anyway. So it just it sounds like from a bigger picture point of view, they sound like a handy people to have on your side,
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, I'm interested to see who they get to work with, who optionally just goes, here's our source codes, this is, if you can do this would be great. Because there's so many flat games out there that I think would just be elevated in VR. I know a lot of people say that all the time, but there's a lot of them.
I would love to see stuff like sort of what became of Edith Finch, or all those kind of walking sim games and stuff.
First person stuff like that.
I'd be surprised if they haven't already done that.
What's that one with the Firewatch, like, for instance, stuff like that would be just
that'd be great.
They're quite short games. Gone Home, stuff like that. That just all of that should just be in VR, because they're brilliantly atmospheric games anyway. But anything that's walking sim, the one everyone's got to the Rapture, that would be brilliant. Put that in VR. There you go.
Yeah.
So I've not experienced any of their mods because I'm not on PC VR. That'll be later in this year. I'll be jumping into the depths of PC VR as well. But so I've not actually experienced what their work is like. But I've always heard good things. So
okay. Well,
yeah.
Bit of homework for you, Reece. Do a bit of investigation. Do a bit of undercover reporting. Maybe pose as someone. Try and find out for us.
Join the Discord server. See if they're doing Returnal for Ben.
I mean, at the very least, join the fucking Discord. Anyone can do that. Sure,
I've got.
I want you to be like, go through their bins. Okay. Go through their bins, Reece. Look through it. Try and piece together their shredded documents, and try and find out what's going on. Because I feel like there's a story here that we can try and make happen.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be silent on that, aren't they? But no.
Well,
I think VR players should be excited. That's all I'm saying. I think they really should.
Yeah, no, that was very cool.
Just to clarify though, is it going to be like a legit thing where you can get a VR version of a flat game?
Only the games
through legitimate means.
I believe so, because if they've got a PSVR2 dev kit, unless they're only doing this for then the PC VR support, that hasn't been announced. But also, I believe if they've got source codes to games and that game decides to publish it, then surely that could work too.
Crack on.
Sure, there's more things that would need to be ironed out, I think, and definitely it would come to the quality assurance stuff. But I think from my side of it, which kind of makes you go, oh, if this game company wants to work with them, they've got a team there they could potentially work with and fund them to turn their game to VR. Again, it may only be for the PSVR2 support when it comes to PC VR, but I don't know. Let's give PSVR2 some optimism.
If they could go excitement to your kind of indie devs, your Chinese rooms and stuff like that out there, and say, look, guys, we've got this software basically. If you give us the source code for this game, give us a couple of months, and we can convert it and do some magic, and you can re-release it on PSVR2 and get a whole new audience for it and a whole new chunk of engagement. And Sony would be like, I should imagine they'd want to be happy to sort of put some money behind that process as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be a really exciting way to get lots more software.
This is complete speculation in the sense of how it's going to work, but at the same point, I think
never stopped us before, Reece.
You've not listened before, but I think it's nice to have that little bit of more excitement for the future of PSVR2, because we do still see the same tweets every week. Oh, PSVR2's dead. It's nice to see something that makes you go, oh, this could bring this to it,
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
If it does turn out to be for the PC VR and PSVR2 support for that, then sorry everyone that only plays on PlayStation.
Well, good spot, and thank you, Reece, for educating us all on what Flat to VR is, and something to keep a little eye on.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to what we've been playing. And Reece, if you want to mention, you finished a game that you've mentioned previously. Just let us know how that landed. The ending for OVRDark.
The ending for OVRDark hit very hard.
No spoilers, obviously. No spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it because I think the ending of it would be enough to make people just jaw drop in a sense. Really good. Still felt the exact same way through all of it, even with some little bugs that I had to fix here and there. But it just meant I had to play for it more. But no, highly recommend this game. Definitely want to go out and check out if you love horror games. I'm going to go back through it again and try and do a zero save playthrough at some point. I managed to do the no death playthrough, which I was surprised about. But no, very, very happy with it.
You going for a platinum on that?
I'm going to attempt it. It's not a difficult platinum. It just requires multiple playthroughs. There's some missable collectibles, but the game can be completed in roughly 2 hours. I think I completed it in 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Wow.
So that was only because I knew the beginning part where I played for it and had a glitch and had to go through it again.
So a no save run through is not as scary as it sounds.
I mean,
It's
I
scary,
don't know. I don't know how the checkpoints work. So
Surely if you're playing a no death save through, what's the difference? Surely if there's no death, then if you're not going to die, why would you need to worry about saving?
But I didn't know I was not going to die.
So does it? Would it not? Don't matter.
No, it doesn't work together. So yeah, okay. I still saved because I was constantly scared. Okay, right, and I didn't play when I'm sitting.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, it's good. I'm glad that it's
Get OVRDark. There we
go. Didn't
go.
fluff the ending, and it lived up to
story-wise
early promise. Yeah, well, I'm pleased that there's a decent horror game there for those that like it. There's another game you've been playing. Maybe just talk about it very quickly because I'm just conscious of time. But also you've only played it a little bit, so we'll talk about it more, I'm sure, in future weeks. But yeah.
So Genotype, I tried some of that. I played. It says I played 15 minutes, but it was about 30 minutes. I was in the headset for. It was just enough to give me kind of a view of the feeling of the game, not so much story or anything. Because I'm going to be honest, I really don't know what's going on. But so far, I'm liking what I'm playing. There's some things I'd change in it, but overall, the graphics are really good. I know Laurie constantly keeps saying he wants these higher fidelity, great-looking VR games.
That's true, I do, yeah.
Yeah, he does. Something like Red Matter. I mean, it's not on the level of that, but the visual field of the base that you're in kind of gave me that Red Matter feel a little bit. And it does look good. It's not as good as Red Matter, but it still looks good enough to go, oh, this looks quite pleasing, and you want to look around at things. But the only difference is you can't pick all these things up. There's loads of these things around on counters, and you can't grab them and throw them around and do VR stuff like you would in most games. Even to the screens, it's done with a cursor from your hand. You don't touch the screen with your hand, even though it has big buttons on it. You have to just point your hand at it and then press the trigger, as opposed to just pressing it with your finger. And I don't know, for me, that killed the immersion a little bit. But if you can look past that, like, everything else is quite nice. I'm liking it.
It's weird how VR devs are so wildly different in their interface things.
Yeah.
Some seem to get it so spot on and natural feeling, and others just seem to make a complete pig's ear of it.
Because it's the game starts and he goes, oh, I need you to get out of the truck. And then I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, well, I'm pressing open door, and it's not opening. And he just turns around and goes to me, oh, you've done all this training and you don't know how to open a door. And I was thinking, well, I know how to open a fucking door, but it's just not opening. So I'm constantly pressing it until I took a step back and moved my hand up and saw the cursor. I was like, oh, okay. Now I feel like an idiot, but also slightly disappointed.
Okay. Well, keep playing.
I will play more. I'm going to sink some time into it over the weekend and throughout the week, and I'll give you some more views on it next week of what is happening. Maybe give you a little bit of story stuff and go over it that way.
Some early promise, though.
Pardon?
Some early promise, though.
Yeah, I think people are going to really like it. I mean, it looks good, and there's a lot to it with the different like mutant type of things you get on your hand, which is, they look weird because I keep getting them and I'm just staring at my hand at like the different ways these things look because they all work differently. Yeah, that's literally what I'm doing. I'm just going, oh, and its mouth opens. Can you see inside of its mouth? And it's just, yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So no, definitely one to keep an eye on, but I will play it more and I'll give you all my thoughts properly next week.
Okie dokie, cool. Well, let's move on and talk about Mixture. But before we do, I'd just like to remind everyone that if they'd like to support us, they can give us a sub on however they're listening to us. And if you're watching on YouTube, do the like and subscribe, all that kind of jazz. Leave us a comment too. Follow us on Twitter at CrossButtonVR and at the Crossplayers. Reese, it always occurs to me, we never plug your YouTube channel. What is it? Your one?
You don't need to, but it's GWT Games with T.
GWT Games with T.
Games with T, yeah. It's just for some reason Games with T was taken, so
yeah, someone else. Yeah, no, people should check it out because you've got video reviews for like every PSVR2 game on there. So.
Yeah.
Really concise reviews as well. I think that's important.
Yeah,
these meandering 10-minute
straight to the point. Porn. Yeah, I feel like
2-3 minutes. Yeah, I see that when I see like a 15-minute review for these sort of small little games. You think
that was the way
it'll take me 15 minutes to play and complete it.
Yeah, it turns me off 15-minute reviews. I'm like, nah, it's too long.
Yeah. Anyway, and if people want to really support us, they can do so via patreon.com/the crossplayers. Our entry tier is £2 a month, and you can help make the show and join our WhatsApp group. And just also give a plug to the good folks out there at VR Rock, who do prescription lenses for all your VR headsets. You can find them at vr-rock.com. You can use the code CBVR to get 10% off and free worldwide shipping. Hurrah!
Do it.
Cool. Right, so I have been playing Mixture this week, and this is an action adventure very much in the Moss style of game. So you are controlling. I think it's a bit more like Moss in that you seem to have a lot. Well, you do a lot more as the godlike character as well as the character you're moving around. So you're playing it in both first and third person, just to kind of really confuse people there. And you're in this fantasy world, and there's some story which is generally quite confusing. You're playing a character that's an alchemist who's basically like a kind of like this godlike race, or sort of mysterious like race that have all been disappeared for a long time but have now come back. And then there's these knights, these kind of creatures that the other character you control, and they've all been scattered in some war or something, that they've all been scattered, and your quest is to go and find the other people that are like you, that have been lost in the world, and rescue them and bring them back so you can all unite and fight some epic final battle. And you're getting the help of the other character you're playing, the alchemist, who's this like godlike figure that looks down on the setting and can interact with things, and we've kind of been confined in something, and you've just been freed from it, and you're chained to this knight. The knight's called Solar. You're called Sephiros, and yeah, so you're sort of chained to it. So your fate's kind of intertwined with its. So I think there's two kind of races that the story and dialogue is all kind of hinting that you've previously been kind of on opposite sides. You've been at war before, and now you're having to kind of work together to for your freedom, basically, and to help the knight character complete their aims. So that's the kind of the setting and the kind of world it is. It's in kind of these sort of fantasy wasteland, different biomes to explore. I think there's 4 different zones of it, and those zones are broken up into different levels, different sections, basically. Each section it's a bit kind of similar to Moss in that way, I suppose, so where you've got kind of these areas that all join up and make it into one bigger combined biome space. And it's quite good. I think it's good. Yeah, I'm quite impressed by it. Playing it, it's not for me as good as Moss, but I think if you like that sort of game, definitely check this out and watch some reviews and consider it. It's a bit more combat orientated than Moss. So if you think that Moss, I think it's probably like Moss, but less puzzles, more combat, I would say. There is a bit of puzzling in it, but it's much more leans towards the kind of hack and slash, what you're doing with the knight character Solar. So you can control her on one hand, and you're attacking things, but then as the alchemist above the battlefield, you can create these mixtures, they're called, so the game gets its name from, and you can throw them onto the battlefield, and they might be something you might throw like a blob of sort of sticky glue down, and you throw them on the enemies, and then you can then attack them with the knight. And so you're kind of, a lot of enemies you can't do any damage to unless you've glued them down to the ground, or you throw the glue, these kind of airborne things, and that just makes them sticks their wings together, and then they fall down, and then you can attack them with the knight character. There's other mixtures you can get that make things bouncy and stuff, so that can be used in combat and also to traversal as well. You can make these platforms bouncy and jump across them and stuff. So there's some clever concepts going on there. It works quite well, and it's fun to, at the first, it does a good job, I think, of easing you in and giving you the hang of controlling both things at the same time. And when you're in combat, it can be quite, because on one hand your brain is being split into two, because you're controlling this character in third person, and you're also having to sort of look and do things with your hand and throw different mixtures, and it can get quite chaotic in the battles that you have. You're in these kind of locked areas. I think a bit like Moss as well. When you enter combat, the sort of these kind of invisible walls come up and hold you in this space, and the enemies they can kind of keep spawning in and stuff. So you have to keep kind of juggling what you're doing. And yeah, the thing you make the mixtures of, you can collect these substances that are all dotted around the world. You can sort of suck them in with your hand and then use them to create the mixtures. So you're having to sort of do that as well with one hand, whilst also moving. There's a lot to do, and it sounds overwhelming, but it's not. The game does a very good job, I think, of keeping it all spinning together. So I'm quite impressed by it. I've played almost to the end of the first biome, so I'd say I'm about a quarter of the way through it. There's an initial kind of training dungeon with a pretty cool boss at the end of it that I've done, and then I think I'm kind of most of the way through the first biome. It's cool. I think the platforming, as I say, it's not as good. Technically, it's probably not as well put together as Moss. It's not as polished. The graphics aren't as strong, and it's just kind of a bit blander looking compared to the kind of how detailed and beautiful.
You did say it was kind of less magical, right? Because I think magical is the word we used when we first described Moss.
Yeah,
and you said that it lacks a bit of that. Is the whole thing just more sort of vanilla fantasy by numbers kind of thing?
It's just more of kind of, you're exploring this kind of barren wasteland, and it's a bit kind of, there's lots of sort of blocky rocks that you're climbing over, a lot of it, whereas Moss is this sort of hyper detailed woodlands that you're going through, and all these ancient ruined like miniature castles and things, which are really pretty to look at. You're not really getting that here, so it's not. I mean, it looks perfectly fine, it looks good, but doesn't have that same kind of wow. Kind of that for me, if there's a big part of what makes Moss so fun to play, it's just looking at the environment. There's little dioramas in front of you, and you're not really getting that here. You're playing it more, I think, for that kind of dual action gameplay, and the combat, and it's that mix of it. Because there is that platforming element to it as well, but this is more leaning towards the combat hack and slash kind of style.
With the magic you get, do you like get more as you go on, or is it just quite basic in the sense of, and do you have to use your actual hands to kind of throw it all around? Is it directional in any way, or is it just kind of basic in a sense? You point,
you do a little tutorial to start off with, and it starts you off throwing things at these targets, and then the targets
so you probably have to throw them across.
And then it says we also have an auto aim mode, and it switches that on, and lets you have a few goes with that, where it uses the eye tracking very well, so you just look at what you want it to do and then you throw it. Now that didn't work, like it does work, but it's not 100% reliable. So you think, this would be like a really easy mode. And honestly, if it would be a lot more reliable, I'd love it. But you still do have to throw it vaguely in the right direction. So a lot of the time I would miss. But that's kind of intentional, because when you're in the battlefield, like it's the skill, you have to throw things. And there is definitely a knack for, even with the aim assist on, it is just assisting you. It's not just doing it for you. So you have to, I think it would probably get boring. It would take a lot out of the combat if it just made it too easy. So you do have to throw things and judge the kind of strength of your throw and the direction of your throw to land on target. And the game's got an easy mode and a normal mode, the two difficulties.
Nice.
I'd say, and then you can have the aim assist.
This is a variety of difficulty. That's good.
So you've got a mixture of difficulties. There's
so many mixtures in this game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it costs £20, so it's pretty well priced. I think it's good value for what it is. I think I haven't finished obviously, but I've heard it takes about 8 hours to finish, which feels about right to me. I've sort of a couple of hours in and nearly finished the first. I did the training dungeon. It's just little things like there's no voice acting, and there's a lot of story it conveys, and a lot of dialogue between yourself and the knight Solar, and it's just all these little text pop-ups that you have to kind of read. And you just think, God, I wish this was voiced, because it could be it's like an interesting story, but you're kind of clicking through all this text thing and you just want to keep playing it. And it'd be nice if you could be like walking around, because the areas are some of them pretty massive areas that you're walking around, and there's kind of a lot of walking you have to do. And it'd be nice if it's like this dialogue was happening, but it stops and the pop-ups come, and then you have to kind of read them, and then you go back into the action. So little things like that. It's just like that, and the graphics and the platforming isn't. It's quite kind of floaty, and like literally like your character's a moth. It's got wings, so there's lots of jumping off cliffs and then extending the wings and floating and stuff. So it's not sort of tight platforming. It's very floaty. So how you describe it. So it doesn't have that same sort of level of polish. I just think graphically and the lack of voice acting is a little bit buggy for me as well. These
just
little
doesn't have quill. Is that what you want to say?
It doesn't have quill mouse.
Yeah,
no.
That's what he really wants to say. Is
no, I don't want to keep comparing it, because it is its own thing, and I say this is much more about a combat game. But it's the easiest comparison to make with that kind of dual aspect of the and you're doing a lot more in the first person than you do in. I think in Moss you can kind of look at things and move platforms, but
it's pretty limited, isn't it?
I think it's fair to say the
fact that there's more to do in first person, and the fact that there's more combat heavy, I think is quite interesting to me.
The combat heavy side is what I'm interested in as well. Now,
because I think that was one thing that was a bit underbaked in Moss. It was more like a puzzle platformer and more about the experience, whereas the combat itself was a bit like, okay, it's serviceable but not spectacular. So if this is if you can progress and pick up more abilities and the combat gets a bit more challenging throughout, then
it does. There's a lot of upgrades as well, because after each biome, going through the biome, you're collecting these kind of currency, and then when you go back to the main hub, you always kind of check in. There is kind of your little safe house. There's a guy there you can buy more upgrades from, and you can upgrade your wings so they can do more. You have like a shield and stuff, and more different combat moves and stuff. So, yeah, I think you'd add that complexity to it as well. But I think for £20, it's a good kind of 8-hour thing. I say it's not the level of kind of polish as some stuff out there, but I think it's very much kind of a quest game that's come across to PSVR2. And it's probably like, I imagine it runs perfectly and as well as it can possibly do on Quest, and then on PSVR2 you think, well, it's a shame it's not pushing it a bit harder, but it is what it is, and it's only a £20 game, so it's kind of, I think it's reasonably priced for what it is. I think it's well priced, and I do
£25 physical as well, because it's a perp game.
That's not too bad.
Physical copies.
Yeah, putting the physical one as well, isn't there? But I'm going to say, I mean, I'm as someone who, like, when you first mentioned the release date, I said I'm not really too interested in this one, and I hadn't really watched much about it. But after hearing you say it's similar to Moss but more combat heavy, that's intrigued me more, and I am more intrigued to try it out now than I was before. So I think I'll give it a go eventually, definitely. But with the upgrades though, is it just cosmetics, or is it like, does it change anything?
No, it adds combat moves and
cool,
shields and makes you stronger and that kind of stuff. No, I don't think there's any kind of cosmetic changes. I think it all does stuff.
Cool, fair play. No, sounds pretty good.
So yeah, marvelous. I think there's a lot of upgrades you can choose from, and the currency is pretty stingy. So I think you could probably build your character how you'd want to build it out and stuff, and like you say, as you can see, because you select your mixtures through a kind of weapon wheel, and you can see there's 2 things that I've got at the moment. I think there's probably space for about 6 around the wheel, so you can sort of get a sense of probably each biome's going to add another element which will allow you to craft different mixtures, and just add that complexity to the puzzles and stuff. So I should expect by the end of it, I can imagine that if the combat and the different mixtures and stuff will be, even when you're in a battle, sometimes you need the sticky thing, sometimes you need the bouncy thing. So it's you have to really think and sort of just. It's a good workout for the brain, because you're moving one character and you're trying to watch what's going on with the enemies, what you need, and you're throwing that in and stuff, and you're going to work on your aim whilst also you're doing the combat and stuff. So the combat, you kind of your hands and your gestures are doing the alchemist, and then the sticks and the buttons are doing the knight, basically. So it's a very clever combat control scheme, and I didn't feel that all worked really well. It's in a lesser developer, that could have been a complete kind of mess and stuff, and there's been enough high profile games that have controlled really badly in VR, but it does a really nice game. And also it has buttons that you can reach out and press with your finger, which is nice as well, little virtual buttons that hover in the air.
That's good. I do like buttons that I can press with my hand.
Hold the button down, and it has a little meter that fills up as you're holding it down, so you can't press it by accident as well, which I also very much like.
Good.
So yeah, it's a very nice tactile game is how I describe it. Very tactile.
And if somebody in the comments could tell us how many times Laurie said mixture there, that would be great.
Someone will be counting.
I need to know the exact amount.
You can do it when you do the timestamps.
I know. 24.
Cool. Okay, well that's mixture. Well, it'd be great if you two could play it and tell me what you two think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, because I'm quite impressed by it. For me, it's not up there as good as Moss at the moment, but I think that's just because I'm on the kind of puzzle and exploration thing. But if you're more into the combat side of it, I think you'll love this.
I'll give it a bash.
Cool. I can ask for nothing more.
I will eventually.
Cool. Well, if that's interesting you in Mixture, give it a go and let us know what you think. I'd love to hear what everyone out there thinks about it as well. Let's leave things there for tonight, though. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please tell your family and your friends all about us. And if you'd like to get more involved, please don't hesitate to jump into our Discord and say hello to everyone. Last but not least, thank you to all our patrons for supporting the work we do. We love you all. I've been your host, Laurie. These two have been Ben and Reese, and we will see you again next time. Until then, it's goodbye.